Hello. I decided to start while I'm shuffling today. There's something in the energy that wants to participate. I pulled the Witness. That makes sense for what I'm seeing here. This one is the Mystical Shaman Oracle. Got a couple of other decks going on here as well. I think one more from this deck. I like the backs on this one. I think the backs are just as important as the fronts because it's all art. This one. The ancient ones. Interesting. This is the first card, and he's got a lot of bird feathers on him. And I also pulled the Crow, which is 13, which is the Death card. And the first card that I pulled before you got on is also a 13. Find your haven from the Inner Child Oracle. I've also got the Oracle of Unicorns, which I will pull from. Then I've got a tarot deck as well. One of the main reasons I pull so many cards is just because I like the art. I think you can do a reading with a lot less cards, but you don't need to. Receive. This was on the bottom of the deck the last time I used it, and I saw it sitting there and I didn't pick it up because I'd only pulled one from this deck, but apparently it wants to be part of the readings. Sanctuary is on the bottom this time. Take time out from the world, spend more time alone, meditate or go on retreat. Receive says be open to receiving goodness. Believe you are worthy of abundance. A gift is coming to you soon. The Witness is interesting. It's 64, which if you add 6 and 4 together, you get 10, which reduces to a 1, which is the same as the Ancient Ones. And there's an energy coming through. It feels ancestral. Your guides, your ancestors, your spirit family, they're asking you to be still and be present, to look. She's holding up her hand here, and there's an eye in her hand. And she's, in a way, saying, I am the one. But she's also waiting to react, to take it in first, to find your haven. Through the tree, you can see the castle, and it comes from your voice, unfolding with the blue of the throat. It's a very feminine energy that you are taking in, and the feminine energy is the receptive yin energy. And it says receive. So they're asking you to be ready to receive, but you have to be still to take it in and to see the path ahead of you. And I get this vision of you standing on the precipice of something with your ancestors behind you, waiting to guide you through and to walk behind you through whatever it is you're coming to. And they have a much more masculine red energy. That could be Mars, it could be the sun. Both very masculine energies. I forgot to take the Osho Zen Tarot out. Just a little bitty one. It's kind of an Oracle Tarot combined. And I'd actually thought that something different was in that box. So the path is not what you think it is. Silence. They want me to take both of these. Okay. So we've got silence. You can see the face under the moon and the reflection of the water. We've got friendliness, intensity. You can see the character here pushing through some kind of barrier, and the colors change along with it. The source in reverse, and compromise. The bottom of the deck that they asked me to keep was conditioning, which is a lion in sheep's clothing. It's the devil card. And postponement in reverse. You can see here, she's looking through a window, and there's color within it and none without. There's a stillness that you need to take on to blend together with those that are helping you. This is a part of your journey that you can't do entirely alone. You need their help to show you the way and where to push through. And I get it's going to feel kind of like pushing through something that will give you some resistance. Like if you put your hand through water, you can feel it, but it's not going to stop you. And it is an elemental thing that you're pushing through. It says not source, or unlocking the source, as it is in reverse. So it's more of a natural elemental construct. When I saw this, I thought of a timeline shift. So it's not an element in the sense that it's not the ground you're standing on, but it is something that you will feel a push and a shift through. And there will be a necessary compromise between you and those that are guiding you, because it's not about what you want so much as what you're trying to accomplish. And I just got distracted by this lion. You are built for this. You probably spent your whole life feeling like you were a lion in a flock of sheep, and you were just kind of wearing the sheepskin, but you were never whole. Below that is completion with this puzzle face. The interesting thing about this is you can't quite see that the piece is missing because of the way he's holding it over the face. It looks like the face is complete, and it's right here where another chakra sits. And then below that, it keeps coming, is existence and beyond illusion. So here we go. There's you, little sproutling, watching the stars, and this part of your consciousness where the third eye is waking up and blossoming into a butterfly. The thing about the butterflies, though, is they start out as caterpillars, and they have to completely liquefy into goo in their cocoons or their chrysalis, depending on the species. And then they will bloom once they've rebuilt into something that looks very different. But that's the puzzle piece, is that the suffering and the fact that you never felt like you belonged, that you were looking at a different world than everyone else, where they saw color, you saw nothingness. It's because you were designed for the new timeline. The shift that comes is moving into the timeline that you fit into, where you feel that you do belong. And that's what you're breaking through here. These are the two timelines. And they look similar, but they're different, right? These almost look like they're two different seasons. So you can kind of feel this mirror of who you were, or who you felt like you are, but it wasn't that. It kind of feels like, I think I know how to fit in. I think I know how people think. I think I know how people act. But then when you go out and you do that, everyone's not doing it that way. Everyone's thinking differently or acting differently, but they're all thinking similarly and acting similarly to each other. So then you feel like the odd one out. But it doesn't make sense to you that someone would act differently than you. Like, why would they think that way? My way is the logical way. My way is the most benefic way. So in a way, you've just always felt like you were this kind of reflection or shadow of who the people around you were. Almost like you were built different. I think some of you have said that to yourselves. I feel like I'm built different. But yours is the new realm. It's a haven for you, but it's also what's going to be, there's a place of wonder waiting just for you. It's going to be where everybody ends up. So if there are times in your life, particularly astrological times, this reminds me, I keep having my eyes drawn to things like the sun here. There have been a number of astrological occurrences in the past few years where people who follow astrology have said, oh, this feels really rough with all these planets in retrograde. I think a couple of years ago there were like 6 planets in retrograde, which is a particularly memorable time for me that this happened. But for me, it felt very natural and easy, and almost like a pressure had been taken off of me that I'd always had in my life. But so many people online and around me were like, oh, this is really hard. I can really feel this retrograde phase. And that's kind of what it's going to feel like for you. And you probably have noticed lately in your life things like that happening, where other people are experiencing a difficult situation with you, but to you it makes things easier. Whatever it is that's going on, maybe at work or in politics or a phase of your life, like if you all just graduated together and everyone else is really struggling with the same circumstance that is actually bringing you ease. That's what this feels like, and that's what this looks like when you shift timelines, is that you were born in the upside down and everyone else was normal, but then the timeline shifts and you're the one who's upright anymore. So they all feel disoriented, but you feel for the first time in your life like this is totally natural, and this is how it was always supposed to be, and this is the world that you fit into, because you were meant to be like that, because you were designed for the timeline shift that happened later in your life, whenever that is. There's going to be a large collective of people who fit into this, so you're going to be all different ages and generations, and you're going to bring different abilities because of those different life experiences that you've had through this. And this says suppression, it's a 10. Up until this point, a lot of your abilities and your magic has been suppressed. I don't know if you can see this very well. This person appears to be completely doubled over with their head in their hands and tied up in ropes. And then there's the sky up top. It almost looks like it's a television. It looks upright, not like a skylight, but it looks like it's facing outwards from the card. It doesn't look three-dimensional. So it appears to be pressing down on this person. 10 is completion, and red is the root. And you can see these cracks here around the side. They look like roots. And they appear to be down in the ground because the sky is above. So the sky is literally pressing on you. And the purpose of that is that it was keeping you hidden because you couldn't exhibit the abilities that you have until the timeline shifted. And the sky was no longer the sky. It became the ground. And I'm drawn now to the sanctuary here on the bottom of the deck. The reason for this confinement that you experienced and this stifling that you experienced and imprisonment was to hide you and to protect you, like a seed that you bury in the ground. And it does its work in the dark, and it roots down before it can bloom up. And there is no up or down for the seed, just the feeling of where the sun is. And then we've got strength underneath. This challenge will make you stronger. You will get through to the other side. Look for the gifts in this situation. This one's black. This is the shadow horse to the celestial star horse that we got before it. The other thing that comes out of these kind of experiences is strength. The true warrior that you were born into had to learn the purpose of these gifts that you have and not to go out of your way to help other people when they can help themselves, not to cross that boundary and lift them up. You're meant to show them the way, but if they don't want to get up on their own, you're not meant to interact with them. You are an embodiment that they can see, but you can't put out your hand to everyone. So you have had to learn the very hard lesson of staying back and just living by example and allowing people to take that example and to stand up themselves or to leave that example. And you had to be okay with letting them choose to remain in suffering. And that's a very hard lesson to learn, but that's what you've been doing all this time. And you should have felt that shift in your life when that lesson clicked in. I'm sure most of you have seen recently a situation where you thought a younger version of me would have run in and tried to manage that for them, would have run in and tried to fix that for them, would have insisted that they do it my way. But now I can sit back and give them advice and commiseration, but I don't have to get involved. I don't have to touch it. And that's a very important lesson to learn when you're meant to help the masses or any group. I think 3 people would be a lot to help, but my voice is getting weak, which usually means that I should stop talking. But that's all they want me to say. So thank you all for coming again. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. And good job.